Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. It's becoming more and more obvious by the actions and statements coming from some countries in the European continent that they will get as much as possible involved in the war that occurs on the Ukrainian territory between United States of America and its NATO vassal states, and they do not know how exactly to help more or get more engaged without being considered, actively participants in the actual war. They would like to, and they will stay as much as they can outside of being labeled active participants. Obviously, this decision will be made by the Russian government when they decide that, all right, from now on we consider you active participants, and NATO will try until then to stay out of it, but help as much as it can. Just to NATO. When I talk about NATO, I talk United States of America, and they would like to. The collective West or monolithic West, which is not that monolithic or collective. There are a few countries which is mainly United States, and the rest are following because they have to, because they're not independent. They are vassal states, and they try to get involved with troops maybe in Ukraine. So little steps, but those troops not be considered. That's the key word. Considered active combatants. They're just a kind of peacekeeping, Western military and all that. So they're just over there and make sure the European continent is defended from the criminal Russian army. All right, so in this case we have Lukashenko, who has a few words directed to the some European countries and the leaders of this war on the territory of Ukraine. Not the leaders, but the people, how should I put it, legally on positions of decision making, but they are not actually. I'm talking about the Ukrainian leadership. This article comes from Ukrainska Pravda from Wednesday, October 12, 2022. Belarus responds to Zelensky's suggestion that international mission be deployed at Ukrainian-Belarusian border. So this is like they will just come over there and make sure that that's peace, and all these guys will just be over there and they will not be involved in fighting. I bet that's what's gonna be, right? So Vladimir Mackey, Belarusian Minister of Foreign Affairs, said that deploying a mission of representatives of Western countries on the Ukrainian-Belarusian border would be equivalent to, and I'm quoting, these third countries directly engaging in the Ukrainian conflict. Now the source is Belta, a state-owned national news agency of the Republic of Belarus, quoting from Mackey, and I'm quoting, "I agree with the assessment voiced by the Russian side. If Western countries send their representatives to the border between Belarus and Ukraine, this will be essentially be equivalent to these third countries directly engaging in the Ukrainian conflict." Well, why would that be considered like that when these guys have supposedly monitors, military trainers and military observers and personnel who just, are over there, they're already there. I mean, you just back off as much as you can. And actually, the situation is clear. I don't know what these guys are still pretending. It's pretending. It's clear that this Ukraine war, or the war on the territory of the nation of Ukraine, is waged by United States against Russia. And United States is doing this in the name of other interests, which are economic interest, banking interest, industrial, energy, and military interest, which is the military-industrial complex, who's behind our beautiful republic here, so defending us. And this is the bottom line, and they are not calling it that way. Now, the United States pushes buttons, and it has its vassal states like France, Germany, Great Britain, who thinks that, unfortunately, they think they are really part of the command. And they're part of the command just because they're like a, you have the main office, which is the United States of America, and you have on the territory just little, businesses that people come and communicate with. So they're overseers on the territory. This is what Great Britain is. It's used by United States whenever, however, wherever they want. But the Russians do not want to call it this way, even though they know very well. They made some statements before, and they say, well, you guys are participants, active participants in the war and so on. But what do you do about it? Just let everybody else know that this is what you think? Okay, but at one point, you have to say it, and you're going to say it after, what, 8, 9, 10 months, 1 year of killing people over there? So Mackay additionally claimed that both Belarusian and Russian secret services would be involved in organizing a response to any such mission. During the urgent G7 meeting on 11 of October, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky put forward a proposal to send an international observer mission to the Ukrainian-Belarusian border in order to reduce the risk of provocations and of Belarus entering the war on Russia's side. Well, my translation is, let's put over there some Western armies so those guys will not invade. But we could if we determine that you are threatening us. Basically, that's what is the weasel terminology used here. To send an international observer. So they're just going to observe a mission over there at the border to reduce the risk of provocations. Well, if you are an observer, how are you going to reduce this? Because you're going to say, hey, they are over there attacking, or you're over there to actually deter by your military presence. I mean, observers, you can do it right now. You can have over there a lot of cameras and webcams and drones flying, which I'm pretty sure they are, and you can observe it by that. You need troops on the ground. So it's just a little step, a little bit further, and then a little bit further, and a little bit further. And I'm waiting to see when actually the Russians will label the countries involved in this as active participants. Because if I would be, let's say, in a real world, which they are in a real world, and I have a problem with my neighbor, and we can figure things out, and we start, being physical, and then the neighbors, some neighbors, go and help him with, I don't know, massage him, give him medication, band-aids, and all kind of other stuff, including giving my neighbors weapons to beat me up. Then what should be the term I should use for the other neighbors who help this neighbor? Just friendly human beings? No, they're actively involved in that. That should have been done, in my assessment, if they would have been real at the beginning of all this. As I said many times before, all this could have been avoided if the decision would have been not taken from Washington a long time ago. Starting with 2008 with the NATO summit in Bucharest, when they said, well, one day Ukraine and I think Georgia will be part of NATO. What? You know what that means? American military equipment on the border with Russia in Europe. I mean, you already have in Poland and Romania, which is bad enough. So if you think these are not threatening the security of Russia, then I think the United States will not have anything to do with the Russians placing nuclear weapons or whatever they want to place in Nicaragua, which probably is going to be a future step, and that's about 600 miles from Florida coast or something like that. So we'll see. Maybe Mexico will do something, and then United States will say, well, in the spirit of reciprocity and justice, the Russians are okay with us should be okay with us putting weapons in Ukraine, and that's a free country and it can join whatever organization wants. Well, we're okay with Russia and let's say Mexico having the same thing. We're good. Do you think that's the way it's going to be? Obviously not. That tells me how things are ran. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.